Oh, let's see here. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me now? Did you hear me say testing, testing, 1, 2, 3? I can hear now. Okay, we got that resolved. That's because I went out in the field and took the computer with me today, so it probably changed the speaker settings. All right, good job, good job. Okay, well, shoot, my intro didn't come through, right? So for anybody watching the replay, this is a live session designed for students to participate. So you can fast forward between questions. And this is national questions starting out. And the second half or the last third of the class is Texas state questions. I review the questions and the answers and allow everybody to participate and ask questions. And this is Lillie Hendy Dominguez, or Wow Lillie Hendy, with YouTube Agent Prep, coming to you from San Antonio, Texas. All right, we've got Hi Muffin Mayweather. And who is the other person on Facebook? Okay, so who is this person that I don't see on Facebook? It says Facebook user. So I don't know who you are. The answer is C, 941C. It's general. Okay, because the property management, right, they're a broker. The owner is providing a lot of responsibility on them. Should the owner decide to allow them, give them a power of attorney? My name is Kayida. Kayida. Okay, Kayida. Hi. Thanks for joining. Oh, now you show. Oh, there's a Kaida Diana. That's interesting. Kaida, you don't show up on Facebook. It shows up as Kaida Diana. Okay. So universal would be if the owner gives them a purchase of a POA, power of attorney, to get loans or do certain things. Pronounced Kaida. Okay. So that's how you are on Facebook. Okay. Thank you for that. So I was talking to a person here that her name is Kaida. All right. And so I like to acknowledge everybody who attends the class and participates. So very good. Oops, meant to show that. So we'll get going in normal speed now. Okay. My computer, let's see here. Okay, talk. All right, number 42. Which of the following describes a gross lease? A, the tenant pays a base rent plus some or all of the operating expenses. B, the tenant pays a fixed rent and the landlord pays all operating expenses. C, the tenant pays a base rent plus an amount based on income generated in the lease space. Or D, the tenant pays a rent that increases at specified times over the lease period. So type your answer in the chat. That chatty chat. Oh, I should remove this here. So the gross lease, let's see, on Monday, we talked about, what was it? Gross income versus net income, right? My contacts are dry. Okay, so we have so far 2B, B, and the answer is B. The tenant pays a fixed rent and the landlord pays all operating expenses. So it says in a gross lease, the tenant pays an established fixed rent and the landlord pays for all property operating expenses such as taxes, insurance, utilities, and other services. This is the arrangement commonly used in residential leases. If the tenant pays some of the operating expenses, the lease is a form of net lease. So there's single net lease, double net lease, and triple net lease. So it's called net lease, net lease, and net lease. So in the gross rental income, it was, or a gross, yes, versus net income is the owner had all the other operating expenses. And so they're just basing all the income and they deduct something. The net income is all the gross minus all the operating expenses. So here the landlord is paying for all the utilities, all the maintenance, taxes, insurance, and the tenant pays, like in a residential property. If you ever hear me quote something incorrectly, please let me know, because I do make those mistakes sometimes. So don't be concerned about hurting my feelings or being afraid to say anything. Okay, let's see. Somebody answered C. The tenant pays a base rent plus amount based on income generated. That would be a percentage lease. Okay, when they pay an amount of their income generated, that's a percentage lease. So that's going back to vocabulary. Number 93. If an apartment contains a refrigerator that is not included in the lease, A, the lessee is required to buy it from the landlord. B, the landlord is required to remove it. C, the lease is invalidated because of an incomplete property description. Or D, the property manager does not have to maintain it. So the refrigerator is not included in the lease. So a lot of times individuals bring their own appliances, right? Especially on apartments and some home rentals. Okay, so far we have a D. Okay, we have different answers on here. Okay, so think about it this way. If you're going to rent a house and there aren't any appliances and you bring your own refrigerator and your own stove, who ends up repairing those? Does the landlord or does the actual owner of the appliances? Hi, Cindy. Yes, so it is D. The property manager does not have to maintain it because it doesn't belong to the property management company or to the owner. Right? That's correct, Lisbeth. So it is the owner of the appliances, okay, who ends up repairing their appliances, not the property manager or the owner of the property. So here it says, if an apartment contains a refrigerator that is not included in the lease, okay, the property manager does not have to maintain it. So it says the lease should set forth items that are excluded or included in the leased property. For instance, a residential lease may include built-in appliances such as dishwashers, but exclude freestanding freestanding ones, such as a refrigerator or a stove. At issue for the landlord is the cost of maintenance. If a refrigerator is not included, it does not have to be maintained by the property manager. That has to be provided by the tenant. A home warranty comes in handy when appliances. I recommend it a lot to my clients, and I use it on my homes and my rentals. 44, a basic responsibility of a landlord is to A, provide lease space at market rental rates, B, deliver a habitable property, C, keep a rental space freshly painted, or D, refrain from entering the lease space at any time during the lease term. So basic responsibility of a landlord. Type your answer in the chat. I'm going to get some eye drops for my eyes. I'll be right back. Okay, I hope you type your answer on the chat. Move. Okay, we have 94B, 44B. Anybody else? Yes, the answer is B, deliver a habitable property. No, the basic responsibility is that any property that is being rented has to be habitable. In other words, it has to be good enough to live in for them and anybody else. Everything has to be working, plumbing, electrical, windows, no holes, letting cold air or hot air in. No pests, insects or anything like that. BBB, yes, BBB. A landlord can charge whatever they want. However, individuals are not going to rent it if it's way out of normal market rental rates, right? So the demand on the market actually sets what a rent will be. Now, if it's a luxurious apartment or house, then that's going to be a little different, but they still have to compare with others and be competitive. Otherwise, it'll sit there not getting rented. Number 45. How does a constructive eviction occur? A landlord obtains a court order to force the tenant to vacate the leased premises. B, a court officer forcibly removes the tenant from the premises. C, a tenant declares a landlord in default and vacates the leased premises. Or D, a landlord declares a tenant in default and takes possession of the leased premises. So which one is it? A constructive eviction. Remember the difference between constructive and actual, when documents are recorded. It is not it doesn't give enough information, okay? So the constructive is either something that is recorded and where the landlord is aware of, okay? Is aware of, may not be accepting the idea, right? And so it is actually C, a tenant declares a landlord in default and vacates the leased premises. So that tenant did it by, going to court, right? A constructive eviction occurs when a tenant vacates the leased premises and declares the lease void, claiming that the landlord's actions have made the premise unfit for the purpose described in the lease. The tenant must prove that it was the landlord's actions and were responsible and may be able to recover damages. Okay, so they would go through a local, a small judicial court, okay, in their district. And, because you can't just evict a landlord, okay? They have, just as a landlord has to go to court and start an eviction process and inform the tenant, a tenant can also, okay, do a constructive eviction, and it has to be through the courts. Because otherwise, how would they be protected? Well, they are protected by the particular state landlord and tenant laws, tenant and landlord laws. They're designed to protect the tenants more than they are landlords. Oh my gosh, I put V. Do we have a V, letter V as in Victor in the answers? Wow. No, we don't, right? Okay. Now, let's see. We had answer A and we had, okay, the only other answer was A. The landlord obtains a court order to force the tenant to vacate the leased premises. Well, it doesn't give a reason, okay? So they have to go and register an eviction and follow the process, okay, in order to do an eviction. So the landlord has to first give the tenant, for a reason of evicting them, okay, could be default in payment or having a dog that they weren't allowed or having people staying over that they're not allowed. So the landlord has to give notice first, not right away, a court order to force the tenant to vacate. So that's not the first process. B, a court officer forcibly removes the tenant from the premises. Yes, that'll eventually happen after there has been, a hearing if the tenant wants it, after they have filed the eviction process, given the tenant notice, an opportunity to cure, okay, the default or violating the contract. If they don't cure it, okay, then it goes to a hearing if the tenant wants one. And if not, then it goes to a writ of execution, which means that there will be forced out. And at that point, the officer would go and if they're not out by the deadline, okay, on that writ of execution or removal, vacating, then the police officer will go and says, hey, you've got, 4 hours or 24 hours to get out. And that's it. I'll be back and I'll be locking it. I've had that happen to some of my tenants. I shouldn't say some, maybe a couple of them. And the cop don't give options. They're just like, nah, you're out of here. You already had your options, your opportunity to cure the situation, and you didn't. All right, number 46. Oh my gosh, math problems coming up next. Among the essential elements of a management plan is consideration of A, the competitive market for the property, B, the property manager's career goals, C, the property owner's net worth, or D, the management firm's income goals. So among the essential elements of a management plan is consideration for type your answer in the chat. Okay, let's see. What do we have? We've got 46A, 46A. And yes, that is correct. 946A, the competitive market for the property. That's what the management company has to do because they need to bring in as much money as possible to the landlord. That's why the landlord or the owner of the property hired a property management company. Now, the landlord may already have an idea how much they want to rent, but the job of the property management is to do a market analysis, a comparable market analysis of what other properties are renting for. Okay, little reminder. Well, Muffin, this is your first time here. Remember, please type the question number and the letter answer so we all know we're all on the same page and know what question is being answered. Thank you. Hey, math. So let me type on here. So this is test number 10. Real estate math, everybody's favorite topic, right? Affirm that you love math. Thank you, Muffin. You love math, right? Everybody loves math. Affirm, like I put on the thumbnail. Affirm, I passed exam. Because that's what I want you to affirm and believe. I passed, I passed, I passed. Ask, believe, and receive. All right, and I'm going to make the width a little bit narrower. Let's see here. Okay, there's number 10. I'd like it a little bit larger for those watching on phone. Okay, number 10. Real estate math. A licensee sells 5/6 of an acre for $28,000 and receives a 6% commission. If he or she splits with the broker 50-50, what did he or she receive per square foot? Okay, so they're asking the answer in per square foot, right? What was the split that they received per square foot? The question mentions a licensee sells 5/6 of an acre for $28,000. Right? So we have to find out how much each 1/6 of an acre is and convert it to square feet, right? How many square feet in an acre? Type it in the chat. I should say, please type it on the chat, okay? Come on. I remember it by 7-Eleven. You're going to say, what? By 7-Eleven? Are you gambling or what? Yes, way to go. Hey, Simon. Simon says, listen to Simon. Oh, Simon says, oh, that's cool. And Kay Ford, hey, welcome, Kay. All right, so Simon says, and Kay Ford are new. I think I just approved Kay Ford today. Yes, 43,560. I remember it by 7-Eleven. Okay, so if you look at the first two numbers, 4-3, they total 7. The last three numbers total 11. That's how I remember it. My family used to like to play dice, okay, in Vegas. Okay, awesome. So, okay, I thought I saw Lisbeth too. Okay, yeah. Check this out. Simon says, be careful what Simon says, okay? Don't believe everything. All right, so that's awesome. 1 acre equals 43,560 feet, right? Always use the, square feet. Use the units, okay? You're not having to write it. All right, so if that's how much is in 1 acre, you have 5/6 of an acre for 28,000. So how much would that be? Okay. And then they're receiving 6% commission and then splitting it 50-50 with the broker, right? So their cap is 50%, right? Their commission fee is 50%. So they're actually getting 3% commission since it's being split 6%. So work the math out. Gosh. Sorry, guys. My eye is... I must have something beside my eyeball in my eye. Okay, so we've got first 23 cents per square foot. Yeah, that is the correct answer. So let's look at something here. Ooh. So how did you calculate it? Okay. So you can do, let me see if I can make that a little smaller there. You can do what? 5 times 43, 560, right? So what does that equal? So that's going to equal, and then you're going to divide it by 6, right? So you're multiplying 5/6 times 43, 560, and that gives us 36,300 square feet, right? Square feet, right? So then the commission is 6%, okay, and then divide it by 2, right? So 36,300, you can multiply it by 3%, because that's what they're actually getting. Okay, so multiply that by 3%. Yeah, they do 8% here. Not multiply that, I'm sorry. The 28,000, which is the commission, 28K, so K stands for thousands, right? Times, the book says to do it for, 3%, 6%, but let's do it for 3 because we already know that's what it's going to be, right? So when you multiply that and divide by 36,300, okay? Okay, you get the 0.023. So you're getting money per square foot, right? Because the answer is how much money per square foot. So if she splits with her broker 50-50, what did she receive per square foot, right? So we first have to convert it to acreage. So multiply by 5 times 43,560 square feet. Okay. Then divide by 6 because it's 5/6, right? Right here, 5/6. 5/6 times 43,560 gave us 33,300 square feet, not square T. And then we have $28,000. And I went ahead and already divided, split it in 2. So times 0.03 and then divided by the square feet. So you have money on top and square feet, okay, on the bottom. So how many? So only one person attempted to calculate it. Wow. Because these types of calculations you'll do in real estate if you want to know what you're earning. And you do want to know what you're earning because brokerages and accounting sometimes make mistakes. Okay. And also title companies. And so I just had a check that I received, right? I deposited it. And for some reason, the title company was having computer bank issues. So the check was returned. I was charged from my bank a return fee. So I then went and picked up the check from the title company. They called me, they made a new check, and they're also refunding me the bank charge that my bank charged me for returning the check. Okay. So you want to know how to do these. The answer is A. You're right. Okay. So 23 cents or 2.3 cents per square foot, right? Because if you move the decimal point over, it's 2.3 cents per square foot. So it's not a lot, right? But it's better than nothing. It could pay for your monthly fee or dues. So I should say $.023 per square foot. Oh man, the heck. I'm trying to type. Sorry, guys. Today is like internet issue. And like auto correct and auto insert. Okay, so Cindy got it right. Okay. What was the answer? Yeah, the answer is A. So Kay went to work. So do learn and practice math. Okay. Do not, you could probably pass the exam by not knowing the math. However, if you're not excellent on everything else, you may need those 2, 3, or 4 math problems to pass the exam. Okay, so number 2, lots in South Hyde subdivision, okay, lots, are selling for approximately 50 cents per square foot. The Grandersons want to build a 2,500 square foot home on a 1.5 acre corner lot. The custom builder can build the home for $135 per square foot. What will the completed property cost the Grandersons? Okay, so they're buying 1.5 acres at half a dollar per square foot. Okay, so that's one. And then build the home of 2,500 per square foot. To build the home, it's 135. So you don't have to convert anything there for the 2,500 square feet. Okay, and it's $135 per square foot. Okay, so that one's easier to calculate. But the 150 cents per square foot, we got to do similar to what we did in number 10. Right? So let me see here. How do I clear on this? I thought there was a way to clear everything. Okay. So Cindy says 2A. Gosh. So how did you calculate it? Okay. So the answer is, it is not A. Okay. So again, you've got the 50 cents per square foot, and you've got 1.5 acres, right? So 1.5 acre times what? 43,560. Oh, not, I'm sorry. 50 cents per square foot. So the land cost 50 cents times 43,560 times 1.5 acres. Okay, so yeah, I was doing it right. So times 43, okay, 560, right? And then times 0.5, okay, times 0.5. So that gives us, so you're doing 50 cents, right? Because it's 50 cents per square foot. So we're converting 1.5 acres to square feet by multiplying by square feet, right? So one acre equals 43,560. 1.5 is going to equal 1.5 times that. And then you're having to multiply it by 50 cents per square foot. And that gives us 32,670. All right. So then, so that's what the land is going to cost. And now the house, they said 2,500 square feet times $1.35 per square foot. Okay. So you've got $135 per square foot times, how many square feet was it? 2,500. So that gives us 337,500. That's just for the house. Not 6. Okay, so then you add 337,500 plus 32,670. All right. Okay, got it. Okay. Cindy kind of guessed. Okay. So the answer is B. Oh, what was it? 370,170. Okay, not sure how you did it, Kate, but sometimes there's usually more than one way to solve a problem, right? So very good, Kay. Only 2 attempts on it. Okay, number 3. You know, to learn math, you do have to repeat question after question. I did it the same way. Okay, great. Thank you for that, Kay. So you see, Kay also, she did it the same way. She also came up with 370,170. Okay, so the same way was this, right? 1.5 acre times 43,560 square feet per acre times 50 cents, right? So you're dividing, or divide by 2, okay? Because that's what times 0.5 is equivalent to. So that gave us the price of the land of 32,000, okay, 670. And then we have $135 per square feet. Okay, so when you're doing, true math, okay, you've got to put your units, because professors, charge for that. And it's $2,500. I mean, 2,500, not that, square feet. So when you're multiplying this real math problem, right, you cross out the square feet there, the square feet there, and what do you end up? Dollars. That's what I was saying, when you want to include your unit so that you know what the answer has to be. Okay, very good. Number 3, Ivan owned a 1/4 acre lot. He wanted to construct a 120 feet by 80 feet tennis court on the lot. What approximate percentage of the lot will be left over, if any, when he has completed the construction? Okay, so we've got a 1/4 acre lot here. So what is 1/4 acre equivalent to in square feet? Because 120 times 80, so feet times feet equals what? Square feet. So 120 times 80 feet Okay, so there's got to be a way to delete all this, to clear all this, but I haven't. Clear everything here. Who can see what you share? Everybody. Page 1 of 1. So let's see if I create another page. Aha. Okay. So what were we doing? The question is, right? So they have a quarter lot. So you've got 43,560. So that's 711, right? How do I say it? This two numbers is 7, and these two numbers are 11. Okay, that's how I remember it. So all right, so then you've got that. And so you can multiply by 0.25 or just divide by 4, because that is a quarter acre, right? You divide it into 4. A quarter acre is 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, and 0.25. So you divide that by 4 and you get what? 10,890 square feet. Okay, so we had square feet and we end up with square feet. So the tennis court will take up to 9,600 square feet. So 9,600, okay, square feet, leaving, okay, what? 1,290 square feet, because we have here 10,000, right? So we're subtracting 10,000 minus 960, 9,600 will give us 1,290 square feet. So this is, what did the question ask? What is the percentage? So the question asked, so what approximate percentage of the lot will be left over, if any, when he has completed it. So you probably have to round it off. Did anybody get the answer? Okay, so we have a difference of, we have this difference. Okay, so what percentage is that of the total? All right, 12%. Well, 10% would be like 1,089. Okay, so 10% of the 10,890 square feet, it's a quick way to do it. 10% would be 1,890. Okay, and it's actually 1,290. So 1,290 is greater than 10%. And so that way you don't have to calculate a lot. Okay. And the 10% was what did I say? 1,189. So then from there you would say, okay, between these two answers, it's not going to be 10%, right? So it's going to be 12%. It's 11 point something percent. So 88% would be too big, right? Too much. 3% would be not enough. 15% would be a little too much, okay? Because I said 10% of the total square feet is 1,089. So the best answer is A. They rounded it off to 12%. Remember, first you have to calculate, convert it to square feet, because the tennis court is constructed in square feet. So from acres, convert to square feet, or you can multiply this and convert this to acreage. It'll probably be easier to calculate, okay? 1/4, okay, times 43,560. Which is 43,560 times 0.25, or just divided by 4, right? So you're dividing a pie in 4, okay? You've got a pie, and that's the 1 acre. Split it in 4th, and 1/4 is what he owns. And out of that, he's making a tennis court. And usually the tennis court is larger than a house, right? Because it's long. Yes, K. So as Kay said, to be exact, it's 11.84%. Thank you for that, Kay. All right. Number 4. Let me enlarge it. Not much participation when there's math. Understandably. I love math, but I'm not as fast at it as I used to be. Yes, I just want to show everyone, there's 2 ways that you can write square feet. You can write it like this, square feet, or you can write it just SF. Okay, so square feet is either SF or SQFT, okay? All right, number 4, a developer wants to develop a 16-acre subdivision. How many acres? Type it in the chat. How many acres does he want to develop? Or he or she, could be a woman. So what is the question saying? Developer wants to develop 16-acre subdivision. Now, the developer figures that the streets and common area will take about 30% of the 16 acres. If the minimum lot size is to be 12,000 square feet, how many lots can the developer have on this property? Okay, so convert acres to square feet first, right? Or you can say we have leftover 70%. So multiply 0.7 times 16 and then convert to square feet. And then from there, you'll divide by 12,000 square feet to get how many lots. Okay, so let's see. Cindy says 4D. No, it is not 4D. So let's go with, let's try to calculate it here. Okay, so how did I figure to get another page? Oh, I should do it in color. Does that have color here? Well, I'm not going to figure that out right now. Okay, so we have, let me minimize this. Except that then we don't see the question. So I've got to put it on top. Okay, so the question says 16 acre subdivision. And the common area, streets, curb and gutter, and all that is going to take 30% of the overall area. The minimum lot size is 12,000 square feet. So you're converting what? 16 acres times what? 43, 560. Okay, and what do you get? What do you get from that? Okay, I'll look at the answer. So you can do it two ways. Like I said, 16 acres times 70%, or get the converted to acres to square footage and then multiply by 70%. So it'll be this. So they did it the other way around. Okay. So what they did was they took the 16 acres times 70%, convert it, right? Is a dot. Okay. And so if you're good at math, you could multiply it times 3 and you get 48 and then subtract that. Okay. So you're going to get from there 11.2 acres. Okay, so 11.2 acres is 70%. That's how much land they'll use to build the lots. Okay, so now you've got to convert it to acreage. And so that's why I was starting out with this, multiplying it. Anybody have the calculator and can calculate it? So you've got 11.2 acres. So now you've got to multiply that by 43, 560. And that's going to equal how many square feet? I forgot about the 30%. Aha. So let's see. Kay calculated it because the book doesn't give me that total. Oh, they do. Okay, so here, this acreage, okay, is 40. What did you get? They got 487 872. That's how many square feet in 70%. Okay, because this is 70% of the 16 acres is 11.2 acres. Okay, my number is kind of, this number here looks terrible. So it was 11.2 acres. 11.2 acres times 43,560 square feet gives us 487,872 square feet. Right? And then you divide that by 12,000 because each lot will be 12,000 square feet. So how many is that? So I did 16 times. Yeah, you did the way I did at the beginning. Okay, that's the way I was starting. So equals times 7 equals 146. Okay, got it. Okay, so Kay was doing it this way. Why wouldn't you divide by 70%? Because you have, okay, the 16 acres is 100%. Okay, so you've got to multiply by 70%, not divide. If you divide by 70%, then you're going to increase the acreage. Okay, so 16 acres. Okay, so 16 acres equals 100%. Okay, so then we want to know what is 70%. Okay, so you're multiplying, okay, 70% times 16. You know, you could end up using the T formula, okay, times 70%. Now, what I would have done, okay, if I wasn't following the book, I would have said, okay, I'm going to do 16 times 30 because it's a smaller number, okay? And that gives me 4.8 acres that are going for streets. So then I subtract 4.8 from 16 and I get 11.2, right? So this is how my mind would do it. Then we end up again with the same 11.2. So this way, we in our mind, we can calculate smaller numbers, okay, than larger numbers, okay? So you end up the same way, 11.2 versus doing 16 times 0.70, okay, equals 11.2. So in my mind, I can do it quicker this way than doing this, all right? So that you're multiplying because it's 100% equals 16. And so we're looking for what is 70% of that. Sorry, I forgot the equation, so I'm not sure if I'm on right track. Okay, so 487,872, divide that by somebody who has a calculator, divide that. You're going to end up with 40.66 lots. And they rounded it off to 40. Okay. So if you divide, 16 divide by 0.7, what do you get? Okay, so divide 16 acres. Okay, that gives you 22 acres. Well, we don't want more acreage. We want less. Okay, that's why you can't divide. Okay, so this is wrong. You're multiplying. Okay. Yeah, round it off to because you have 0.85. So it goes to 22. Okay. So that's if you were to divide it. So you end up with more acres than the 16. So you want to reduce 16. So you multiply times 0.7. Okay. So in my head, I can calculate this one much quicker. Okay. Instead of using the 0.7, which I would do that one also. Okay. But 16 times 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1, right? 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So that's 4.8, right? Because it's 30%. So you've got a period there. That's how I calculate it in my head. Okay, so now we have 4.8 16 acres minus the 30%, because this here is the 30% that we're not going to be able to use. So we end up left over with 11.2 acres. That's the number, that's the land that we now have to convert to square feet in order to determine how many 12,000 square foot lots are going to be in 11.2 acres. So that's where 11.2 acres, okay, times 43,000 square feet, okay, per acre, square feet per acre, right? And so we cancel the acre there, cancel the acre there, and we end up with square feet. I mean, because when you do the calculator, you're not going to have the units, but you want to make sure that you know the units and keep them, because this is square feet here. So then each lot is 12,000, right? So you're dividing the total 487,872 divided by each lot of 12,000, and you end up with, so the square feet and the square feet go away, and you end up with a number of 40 plus lots. Okay. All right. So that's how you do that. Now, in an exam, you don't have a lot of time. So that's why if you can think using a smaller number, and if you don't know it, put it for review and then take a guess. Okay. It's not going to be 487 lots. Okay. Because it's 12,000 per square foot. And you're using 70% of the 16 acres. So if you at least multiply, calculate what 70% acreage is, and then 12,000 per acre, because then you could kind of figure out, take a guess on a better answer. Okay. Because once you calculate this right here and you have 487,000, and then we multiplied that by, that was the 70%, right? Then you end up knowing, okay, well, if each one is 12,000, how many thousands would it get me, okay, to the 487? Because that is 11.2 acres, right? 16 times 70%. So anyway, math can get confusing. You need to practice, and looking at what you write. Okay. Math is designed to be pencil and paper, not calculator. Okay. So that it is understood. Oops. Oh, I need my Kindle. All right. So let me type the answer. Okay. I think we, so if you calculate and you said, well, how come they didn't write 40 point something? They go in whole digits, okay? They're going to round things off. And if it's less than 5, you don't round it up, okay? You round it down. So let's say it was 40.5, okay? They probably would have rounded it up to 41. However, you can't quite round off land. Okay, So it's easier to round it down because they cannot get 12,000 acres on, 40 and a half. 12,000 square feet, pardon me. If you got lost, all I can say is you could get the book, buy the book. And if you buy the book, use the link in my description, okay? And practice the problem, or hire a math tutor for, 1 day or 1 hour or something. Or we could do a session on math, okay? It's just when I do a class on just math, very few people attend because that's a very small percentage of the exam. All right, number 5. A homeowner wants to insulate the new recreation room in her basement. She has been told that 3 inches of insulation would do the job. The walls are all 9 feet high and respectively measure 13 feet on one wall, 13 feet another wall, and 18 feet another wall, and 18 feet in length. Because remember, you've got 4 walls, you got the ceiling, and you got the floor, right? So the floor is base times height, and each wall is also base times height, right? Because pretty much it's rectangular or it's a square. So you only need to know 2 sides. But here you're looking at walls. So the walls are 9 feet high, okay? And the wall measures respectively 13 feet, 13 feet, 13 feet, and then the length. So here you have to have the length times the width times the height. So each room is a little bit, 2 rooms are the same, 9 by 13 by 18. One of them is 18 by 18 by 9. So length times width times height. So that's a cube. Okay, you're looking at a cube. Now it says 13 inches. So you've got inches versus feet, right? However, insulation is installed in inches, okay? Not normally in feet. Or they put it in the attic, they'll put insulation, or they'll blow insulation between the walls, between the outside wall and the inside, where they're called 2x4s, right? In between. So that creates heat, maintains the heat and maintains the coolness in the property. Okay. So has anybody tried to calculate it? Hi, Carlos. So 3 inches of insulation would do the job. Insulate the new recreation room in her basement. Okay. Basements are usually cooler because they're underground. So the walls are 9 feet high and the walls measure, the width 13 by 13 by 18, okay, and 18 in length. So how many rolls will she need in each roll if each roll measures 3 inches by 2 feet by 50 feet? So I've got a B and a C. So number 5, well, it's not B and it's not C. Okay, so you have first 2. So 2 room. Oh, we had 2, 13 feet or 18 feet? Darn it. See, I have to minimize this. Okay, so we've got 13, 13, 18. So we've got the 9 by 13 by 18, right? And we have two of them that are 13. So they multiply. The first requirement is 2 of them, 13 by 9. So 2, because 2 are identical, right? So they're taking the height and the width. So there's 2 of them, 13 and 13. So 2 times 13 times 9, okay, plus the, what was the other one? 18 feet times 9, okay, because that's the height, right? So they're calculating the height. So this is a plus, not a times. So where's the eraser? Okay, so that is plus. So that equals what? So that equals right there 558. And what is it? Square. Dang. Square feet. You got to keep your units. And why is it feet? Because you've got feet times feet, feet times feet. So that's 2 feet. Feet times feet gives us square feet. Okay, so that's the total square footage of this. And then each roll is 2 feet by 50. Okay, 2 feet by 50. That's where they get the 2 feet by 50. So this is each roll, 2 feet by 50, right? It gives us what? That gives us 100 square feet. So many rolls she will need if each roll measures. So each roll measures 2 feet by 3 feet and 3 inches thick. Okay, so you have, they sell the rolls rolled up, but it's long, okay, and narrow, 2 feet, okay, and 50 feet long. And then it's 3 inches thick, okay, 3 inches thick. Well, the 18, you know, they're saying is the length. They're not going to do the length. Okay, hold on here. So they don't actually need the length of the floor. They just need the height and the width, okay, not the length, because they're doing the wall. So you want to know the height of the wall and the width of the wall. They're 9 by 13. And so it's going to be blown into each wall, or it's going to be put, you're going to have 2x4s, 1 2x4 here, 1 2x4, and they make them the width of actually the insulation. Okay. So that then they slide the insulation, or they push it in the insulation. And that's before you put the drywall. You have the outside wall, and then you have the 2x4s that builds the frame of the house, and they make them the width of a particular insulation. Okay, and they put in the insulation, and then they put the drywall. So they're not calculating the length, okay, the length of the floor. They're only doing the height and the width of the floor. I mean, of each wall, not the floor. Okay, so you've got 100 square feet per roll. Thus, they will need 6 rolls because the total square footage. So they gave us more information that we need. Okay, we don't need the 3 inches. Okay, that's not important. And we don't need the 18 feet in length because they're doing the walls. So the wall is 5 foot high by 13 feet wide. We don't need the length of the floor, okay? Because we're not putting insulation in the floor. That's what the 18 feet would be, okay? So just the height times the width of the wall. Okay, so you could have done 13 by 13, 13 plus 13 plus 18, multiplied all that by 9. Okay, and you get 558 square feet. And then we don't need the 3 inches. Okay, that's not impacting anything. We need to know the width times height. So 2 feet by 50 feet, that gives us a square footage, okay, of each particular panel of insulation, which they're vertical, they're long. Okay, so you kind of have to have an idea of what insulation looks like if you want to imagine it. So they are 100 feet, square feet, okay, for the insulation. So they need how many? How many rolls will she need? Okay, so they need pardon my language here. They need, what did we say? They need 6 rolls. So each roll, okay, each roll, this is 1 roll, okay, equals 1 roll. Can't seem to type right here, okay? So 1 roll is equivalent to 100 square feet. The 3 walls that they're insulating equal 558 feet. Therefore, they're going to get 6 rolls, 600 square feet. So they get 6 rolls, okay? So the answer is A. So they gave us more information than what we need. We don't need the length of the floor because the insulation is not going there. That was the length, okay? And we didn't need to have the thickness of the insulation because it doesn't matter the thickness of the insulation in this case, all right? When they're building, yes, but right now they just wanted to know how many rolls will they need if each roll measures 3 inches by 2 feet by 50 feet. So each of the walls is 9 feet by 13 feet by 13 feet or by 13 feet. Okay, so we have feet by feet. So that gives us square feet. So it just said she has been told that 3 inch of insulation would do the job. So they're going to buy a roll that is 3 inches thick. So then you don't have to worry about that in the calculation. You're just wanting to know how many rolls of this size, 2 feet by 50 feet, you know, how big are the rolls? Then they're going to need that. And they can end up cutting them. It's really easy to cut them, okay, to fit them to the width of each 2x4, which is going to be the middle part between the exterior wall and the interior drywall. So you're going to experience things like that in the real world. You're not, you know, you'll learn to talk to contractors and blah, blah, blah. So 5 was pretty close. So you rounded off smaller, okay, Anai. However, 500 square feet is not going to cover the 558 square feet. So you need 6 rolls and then they'll have extra. Excuse if I'm making it confusing, but math, there's different ways to think it. I think it sometimes a different way than what the book shows it. So I start my way, but then those of you that have the book, I want to make sure you follow the book. Okay, so we did 5 math problems. We're going to move on to Texas State questions. Math problems take a little bit longer if I'm doing the example instead of just reading the question and reading the answer. What you need to pay attention to, sometimes some of the information that they give you is not needed to do the calculation, and that's where it can throw us off. Okay, because somebody might have had 6 rolls and then said, well, then I've got to multiply maybe by 18 inches. Okay. So 6 times that would have, or by 3. So it starts giving us weird answers. Okay. So we did 5 math problems. Okay. It's not a lot. However, nobody was answering the questions. So not many individuals are comfortable with the math. So we're going to shift over to Texas questions now. So anybody that just came on, we just finished the national part, real estate math, and we're now going to, well, I might have show you what I use in case you ever decide to Zoom. So I'm using Kindle, right? And in Kindle, you can, bookmark where you're going to be next. Okay. And the book, you can also create flashcards from here, but this is the book that we're using. And in January, hopefully there'll be a new book. But for right now, then this book has been authored in 26 states for anybody that is in other states. And it has the answer. So let me show you. See how it explains the answer? So you have the questions and then the answers. So it's a really good book in that respect. Those are the kinds of books that I recommend that have the question and have the answer. Okay, I believe we're starting with, yes, we're starting with 1331. And I'll let you know what this section is about in just a moment. So 31 is a little bit longer one. Guess I should hire an assistant to type the questions out. Okay, so the last question on this section has to do with standards of conduct and brokerage practice. So in each of the videos and the description, I let you know what topic we're discussing for national and what topic we're discussing for the Texas state, in case you're wondering. And you've got to go back and study. All right. So I highly recommend if you're still not ready for the exam, you can go ahead and buy this book for Texas or buy it for your particular state. The national is basically the same, okay, for all 50 states. It's just the state part that is different. All right. So what did I say? Question 31. Okay, a licensee, and what did I tell you? Standards of conduct and brokerage practice. A licensee shows a property to an interested buyer, which the buyer likes very much. During the second showing, the buyer reveals that the house was previously occupied by a person who died of AIDS. The buyer blames the agent for not disclosing this fact and threatens to file a complaint with TREC. Which of the following statements is true? A, the broker has failed to deal honestly and competently with the buyer prospect. B, the broker has violated a duty to disclose unnatural deaths which have occurred in the listed property. C, the broker has jeopardized the client's interest and could face disciplinary action. Or D, the licensee is not required to make any disclosures of inquiries regarding AIDS. Type your answer in the chat. So is a licensee supposed to disclose deaths by AIDS or not? Oops. Hi, Deb. I don't think I said hello to you. All right. The answer is D. Okay. The licensee is not required to make any disclosures or inquiries regarding AIDS. Anything by natural death, disease, okay, does not have to be disclosed. If they found out on their own, hey, that's good. And they don't want to buy the house, they want to terminate the contract, hey, that's fine. They can do that as long as they give a justifiable answer to make sure they get their earnest money back. Okay, so the next topic, everybody answered D, yes. So the next topic has to do with agency and brokerage relationships. Okay, so a lot of these questions are missed by many students. So really study this section. It's one of the weaker areas, okay, for many students when taking the exam. Which of the following are acceptable? Sanctioned brokerage relationships in Texas. A, buyer agency and seller agency only, no sub-agency or dual agency. B, buyer, seller, and dual agent or sub-agency, pardon me, buyer, seller, and sub-agency. C, transaction brokerage only. D, buyer and seller agency, sub-agency, and intermediary representation. So what are the different types of agency representation in the state of Texas? All right, so far I've got Cindy with D. Anyone else? A lot of people left because they were national or they got bored with the math. So, yes, the answer is D. Buyer and seller agency, sub-agency, which most brokerages won't let you practice. They'll say, go get the buyer rep agreement signed, okay? Buyer tenant agreement signed. And in Texas, we have intermediary representation. Instead of dual agency, we have intermediary. The broker can represent both sides through each of its associates. And the broker becomes the intermediary, thus for cannot advise, consult, or help make, hold on, I'm thinking here. Cannot advise or negotiate for each of those clients when they're in an intermediary. The prospective agent is the one that's going to advise and negotiate for the client. Okay, buyer and seller agency. Okay, one agent represents the buyer, one agent represents the seller. Sub-agency, it's when there's no representation for the buyer and the sub-agent represents the seller. And intermediary, the broker has a realtor representing each of the clients under their umbrella. All right, 14.2. I wanted it larger. Which of the following best defines an agent per Texas statute 1101.557? A broker who represents a party in real estate transaction who lists real estate under an exclusive agreement. B, a broker who holds a real estate license. C, a broker who sells and leases real estate. Or D, a person who exclusively represents buyers and sellers in an intermediary transaction. So which one best defines an agent per Texas statute? Remember, an agent can be a broker or can be a sales agent, right? A realtor. Type your answer in the chat. So which one best? Okay, Carlos says A. Who else? Who else? Come on down, or come and type, Yes, the answer is A. A broker who represents a party in a real estate transaction or who lists real estate under an exclusive agreement. Okay, remember there's different types of exclusive agreements. There's exclusive agency or exclusive right to sell. Exclusive right to sell is when no matter who procures the buyer, the agency, the brokerage gets paid. Exclusive agency, all right, is the seller can procure the buyer and will not have to pay a commission to the broker. So 14.2A, very good. Carlos, Deb, and Cindy, very good. Number 3. A broker in an agency relationship must comply which of the following agency-related regulations, okay? Must comply with which one of the following agency-related regulations? A, the broker must present all full price offers to the seller. B, the broker must disclose receipt of all offers. C, the broker must negotiate a seller's listing price. Or D, the broker must refrain from interfering in negotiations with represented principals for 90 days following the expiration of the listing. So in an agency relationship, which we're discussing, agency and brokerage relationships, which one is a must? So do they present only full price offers, or do they disclose receipt of all offers, or they must negotiate a seller's listing price? Okay, careful. They all have the word must, but one of them has a must that is correct. Or D, must they refrain from interfering in negotiations with represented principals for 90 days following the expiration of the listing? Okay, so if a listing expires, that's the end of the agency relationship, right? So the answer is not D. The answer here is B. The broker must disclose receipt of all offers. Okay, so in an agency relationship, the broker must comply with which of the following agency-related disclose receipt of all offers, not just full price offers. And the broker doesn't have to negotiate the seller's listing price. Okay, they can recommend a listing price and the seller decides, and that's it. They're negotiate a listing price. D, we're there to offer them advice and show them the comparables of active listings and pendings and days on market and recommend a price range. Okay, but we don't negotiate the price range. We're not getting anything out of that part. We recommend and help them come to the right decision, okay, of the right price. And the last one says the broker must refrain from interfering in negotiations with represented principals for 90 days after following the expiration. Well, they no longer represent, okay, the principal 90 days following the expiration. So once it expires, that ended the agency relationship, except for confidentiality, right? So what are we interfering in negotiating with represented? So there, it's conflicting. Broker must refrain from interfering in negotiate with represented principals. Well, they no longer have a principal. The listing expired. There could be a 90-day clause that states, should one of the buyers that was shown the property during the listing agreement buys the property within those first 90 days after the listing expires, the seller is responsible for paying the commission. However, they'll only be responsible for paying the commission if we provided them a list of all the buyers that viewed the property either through us, the listing broker, or through other cooperating brokers, realtors. So yes, 14.3B, must disclose receipt of all offers, whether they're low ball, bad ones, and any of them. We must disclose it. We disclose and deliver. If the sellers get upset, say, no, I don't want to see that offer. You already told it to me. Make sure it's in writing, okay, the way you share it. I would just send it to the broker, to the client, send them all the offers and they can reject it, okay? Number 4, 2 home buyer prospects walk into an open house and start talking to the seller's agent hosting the occasion. So they start talking to the seller's agent hosting the occasion. They inform the agent that they need help looking for properties in and around the neighborhood. What is the host's responsibility in the scenario with regards to representation? A, the host must give the buyers the seller's property condition brochure. B, the host does not have to disclose anything since there is no talk regarding pricing. C, the host must tell the buyers that they represent the seller of the open house property. Or D, the host must complete the dual agency disclosure. All right, so far we have C. All right, Carlos. Yep, it is question number 4. You're kind of getting like me, right? I forget to type the answer, the letter answer. All right, so we've got C, oui, monsieur. Yes, oui, C, from Tyler Perry. Yes, it is C. The host must tell the buyers that he or she represents the seller of the open house property. All right, number 5. Which of the following scenarios would require agency disclosure? Okay, would require. Only one of the 4 will require agency disclosure. A, 2 buyers tell an Austin agent that they are seriously considering moving from San Antonio to Austin. B, a buyer tells a licensee that they cannot live in a 2-story home. C, a buyer tells an agent at an open house that they like the listing at the end of the cul-de-sac with the detached garage. Or D, a seller tells an agent that he or his wife are considering downscaling their main residence. So when do you have to disclose agency disclosure? In what scenario? When there's substantial communication about what? Any property or a specific property? Only one answer? No, it is not B. It's not B because that's a general question. It's not about a specific property. Yes, the answer is C. A buyer tells an agent at an open house that they like the listing at the end of the cul-de-sac with the detached garage. So there is a specific house at the cul-de-sac that has a garage. So they're being very specific about one property. Then that's a substantial conversation about a specific property. Therefore, in that scenario, we would disclose agency disclosure, which is what? The information about brokerage services. So the answer is C. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more until we go till probably 8 o'clock. Whoa, that's not going to work. Yes, that worked. Okay, 14.6. In which of the following instances does a broker have to disclose an agency relationship? Okay. Does a broker have to disclose? Okay. A, when the broker meets another, oh, you don't see the whole darn question. Dang it. So it's going to be kind of small. Not that small. All right, number 6. So in which situation do they have to disclose agency relationship? A, when the broker meets another principal party to the transaction, the buyer's spouse. B, when an agent meets a relative at an open house. C, when an agent has completed a lease with a tenant and plans to meet the tenant the following day. Or D, whenever the agent receives a phone call while performing floor time duty. All right, type your answer in the chat. All right, Miss Cindy, so far A. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Gone. All right. So whenever they meet another principal party to the transaction, the buyer's spouse, they have to disclose the agency relationship that they represent, okay, the seller. So in the following instances, does the broker have to disclose an agency relationship? When the broker meets another principal party to the transaction, the buyer's spouse. Because they have to disclose that I am the agent representing your spouse. Okay, therefore, I'm also representing you. All right, number 7. So let's see. Oh, Carlos had a B on it. So let's see, what was B? A buyer tells a licensee that they cannot live in a 2-story home. No, that's a general question. Okay. So it's not about a specific, oh, wrong question. You said B, when an agent meets a relative at an open house. No, that's their relative. Okay. You don't have to disclose to your relative. And more than likely, they're just visiting. Well, they might buy. Okay. However, the best answer, okay, is the first one. Okay. Not saying that a relative couldn't be buying, right? I just showed a house to my daughter and I'm working with her. So I have an agency relationship. And I have to disclose, okay, on the offer that buyer agent is related to client. Okay. Number 7. In an agency relationship, a broker is obligated to disclose to a seller all material information known to the agent. This is an example of A, seller agency, B, buyer agency, C, dual agency, or D, intermediate agency. Intermediary. So the agency relationship, okay, the broker is obligated to disclose to a seller all material information known by the agent. What kind of relationship do they have? Seller, buyer, dual, or intermediary? Yes, a seller agency, right? They're talking about the seller. Because they, I mean, all of you got it right, but in case anybody else is watching, right, the replay, it already said given an agency relationship, so they have something signed and it's obligated to tell the seller. So what kind of relationship do they have? A seller agency. Number 18. In the last paragraph of the disclosure, information about brokerage services, we also label IABS, there are several important recommendations made to prospective buyers and sellers. One of the most important of these is the fact that, A, whoever compensates the agent is the ultimate party the agent is responsible to. B, whichever alternative is selected, the seller is the party the agent legally represents. C, the consumer must make a decision between buyer or seller agency or using an intermediary. Or D, if the consumer decides to be represented, that he or she should complete a written agreement that lists out the respective obligations of the agent and the principal. All right, so far we've got D. Anybody else? Is it A, B, C, or D? So in the information about brokerage services, at the end, yes, the answer is D. If the consumer decides to be represented, that he or she should complete a written agreement that lists out the respective obligations of the agent and the principal. It could be the listing agreement or it could be the buyer's rep agreement. Okay. And within those two agreements, there's a box to check if they're willing to work with a brokerage that has intermediary or non-intermediary. So if they were to decide to check non-intermediary, they mean they don't want both realtors representing the same property in the same brokerage. Then it'll have to, one of the buyer agents will have to be referred to another company, because they can't both have them in the same brokerage to be intermediaries. Some individuals are not comfortable with that because they think that brokers are going to, make a decision among themselves to benefit them and not the client. Because it probably it has happened in the past. That's why now there is a lot of requirement of legal update 1 and 2 to be taken every 2 years, so that realtors really learn and ingrain about the legalities, the consequences of doing something illegal. Okay, number 9. 3 of the following answers accurately characterize the duties of an intermediary. Okay, duties of an intermediary. Which one does not? A, must treat parties honestly, fairly, and impartially. B, must not disclose confidential information regardless of circumstances. C, must disclose information materially impacting property condition. or D, may not negotiate a lower or higher price without authorization? So 3 of the following are accurate characterize the duties of an intermediary. Which one does not? So which one is a false statement? Type your answer in the chat. Is it A, B, C, or D? So A says must treat parties honestly, fairly, impartially. B, may not disclose confidential information regardless of circumstances. C, must disclose information impartially impacting property condition. Information materially, I said impartially, materially impacting, or D, may not negotiate a lower or higher price without authorization. So 3 of them are correct statements, 1 is not. It is not D. D is true. We may not negotiate a lower or higher price without our principal's authorization. So the one that seems that is a true statement, it's not, is B. May not disclose confidential information regardless, that's the key word, of circumstances. If the courts require disclosure of confidential information, then it's required by the courts, it must be disclosed. So all parties must be treated parties honestly, fairly, and impartially, okay? Intermediate may not withhold information ordered by a court or required by law or related to material facts concerning property condition. So we're there to negotiate higher and lower prices from the other side. However, it has to be approved by our client, because we negotiate because of what our clients expect and want, okay? They can give us leeway sometimes and say, okay, if they offer, 5,000 less, go ahead and accept it. So we have written approval already. It's a good thing to have it in writing. So the answer is 9. May not disclose confidential information regardless of circumstances. No, it's not regardless of circumstances. Court ordered, must disclose. All right, number 10. A broker decides to represent both sides of a single transaction. If a broker decides to represent both sides of a single transaction. If that broker proceeds to do this, which of the following consequences applies? A, they must act as an intermediary. B, they must represent the seller and get someone else to represent the buyer. C, they must obtain the verbal permission of all parties. Or D, since dual agency is illegal, they will be violating the license law. Since dual agency is illegal, they will be violating license law. So which one are we? A broker decides to represent both sides of a single transaction. Hey, Delta Airsoft. Yes, the answer is A, right? They must act as an intermediary, and that is a must. For Texas, it's an intermediary. In another state, it could be a dual agency. But in Texas, a broker would become an intermediary when representing both sides. All right. Any questions before we call it a night? This is the time to ask. So if anybody was watching on, or if you are watching on YouTube, please tap the like. Oh man, it's been a long day. Click the thumbs up, okay, and send me some love. And if you've been here the first time, remember to subscribe to my channel. Click the bell so that you're the first to get notified every time I go live or I upload a video or do a short, okay? And click the thumbs up to send me some love if you found this beneficial and useful. You're very welcome, Miss Cindy. Thank you for attending. See you Saturday morning. And was this Texas questions? Yes. So the last portion of it, which was probably 35 minutes, was Texas questions. The first hour and a half, we did 5 math problems, okay? So it took a long time to do the math problems. So rewatch it, practice your math, and remember to repeat the same questions over and over till you get them 100% correct. Okay, another student that just recently passed sent me a message that he passed his Kentucky exam, and he kept repeating the same questions over and over and over from his prep book and watching videos on national questions for himself, and of course on state for Kentucky. Let's see. What is the different names, terms used for a buyer seller? Okay, principal, client. So if we have an agency relationship signed, then the buyer can be called the principal or a client. Okay. In a seller situation, they can be called the owner. Okay, so in a seller, in a listing situation, they're the owner, they're our principal, they are our client, and they are the seller. Okay, in a buyer situation, okay, they are our principal, they are our client, and they are the buyer, or could be a tenant. Okay. God, these dang spammers. It's terrible. These darn spammers, you know. Somebody said they're probably bots. Go the heck somewhere else. So anyway, that's it for tonight, you all. Just remember to do a lot of studying in 20-minute spurts, okay? Repeat the questions. Do a lot of vocabulary. Repeat the vocabulary. You can memorize it, okay? It's like practicing a script. You memorize what you're going to say in certain things or in school. And fix your mindset to think positive and believe it. So as the thumbnail says, affirm I passed. Okay, affirm, affirm, affirm what you want to accomplish, what you want. Affirm it as it's already happened. Okay, don't affirm something in the past because it already happened. Affirm something that is for the future that you already affirmed that it happened already. And repeat it to yourself, and, you know, ask, believe, and receive. All right, y'all. Until next time, catch y'all later. This is Wild Lily Handy coming to you from San Antonio, Texas with YouTube AgentPrep, helping you prepare for your real estate exam.